Start recording. Okay. Yeah. So what I want to just brainstorm about with you, Pavel, is these things here at the top. I call them strength meters, but maybe they're
Yeah.
health or something else. But basically, so I want to explain exactly what the idea is, and and then how I compose each one of them. But basically, I mean, so many times you send a message, and you say, okay, well, we need IWM to do this. We need those things to align,
Yeah.
and I think those are really good things. But instead of expecting people to constantly say, okay, well, these three things are in alignment or they're not, basically these are like status meters. So, each one of them we can combine in a different way. So, so for example, um, semis, they look at, the at NVIDIA, AMD, SMCI, and TSM. So it looks at a representative group of tickers, and it says, okay, I'm gonna do a mathematical calculation. We'll talk about that separately. So I'm calculating it, and then I figure out a point. Basically from a 0 to 100. If it's very strong, it could be over 100, and or it could be negative. So if it's 100, it's very green. If it's -100, it's very bearish. And then so basically you just look at that and you can say, okay, the market today, it's white, it's going sideways, based on those strength meters. So the idea is we can have as many of them as we want, and we can call them whatever we want, and we can combine any number of tickers to make
Hey,
up.
Greg, I don't see the screen.
What's
Are
that?
you presenting a screen?
Yes, you're not seeing it?
No, I'm not.
Sorry, I asked up
Yeah.
front, man.
Are you both seeing it? Are you seeing it? No, I'm not seeing it either, but I'm on my phone, so I was thinking maybe it's my phone. That's fine.
Oh, okay. let's let's fix that. Okay. Go live. Okay, do you see it now?
There we go.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
good. I'm glad someone's paying attention.
Now we're good.
Okay, good. So again, so we're looking at these things here at the top. That says market, ES, NQ, and so I created a bunch of them, and then we can make up. So it's a representation of a small group. So if you want to know, semiconductors, if they're strong today, or anything else, then you know what to play. And so the idea is, if something is green, then so banking is strong today. You shouldn't have to open up the symbols. You shouldn't have to look at JP Morgan. You shouldn't have to look at um, different things to figure out if banking is strong. You should just be able to look at this, and you should be able to say, okay, the market is going sideways today, okay, because it's white. If the market is green, the market is strong, it's moving up. And, the closer it is to 100 or -100, the stronger the move is, bonds, banking. And so basically what I want to brainstorm about, and, we don't have to get into the details right now, but I want to explain to you what I'm looking for, is if you can help me come up with, a list of these stickers that can represent each one of these baskets if you want. And then, it would be much easier for us to see, hey, banking is strong today. You know, bonds are strong today. Tech is, well, what, and we can have as many of them as we want. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I think with that, it'll be, the heat map that I put up every now and then.
Yep.
Like I think I put one there earlier. A lot of that, it kind of tells you how much of an impact that they have by size. So I think we can always just kind of go on that and take a look at it, and based on how much of an impact that they have overall on the, let's say, the XLF, for example. Right. So let's say JP Morgan is obviously a lot stronger than some regional bank would be. So I don't know exactly how you would score let's say a JPM versus a regional, but that might be where to start. Where if you pull up like a heat map, okay, so if you look at a heat map, the one that I posted earlier, I just put that up on Discord, but on my site. So like Berk B, for example, JPM, BAC, WFC, like the ones you could pretty much read the tickers on. I think it's a little more further up. Yeah, just a bit more. Yeah, there you go. If you click on that, and then you see the middle section, it says, yeah, Berkeley exactly, JPM, BAC. So those would be kind of the bigger ones, I think. They're pretty much driven by size. The bigger the box, the bigger impact that they have on the market. So that's why you have Microsoft that's got the big size, or the Apples or the Google. This is the impact that they have on SPY.
That's right.
So that kind of could be where you can figure out. So because you don't want to have, all 50 banks or whatever number of banks there might be. You just want to concentrate on the big ones because those are the ones that are going to move the market. So you can kind of go off of that. Same thing with healthcare. Let's say, Lilly or J&J and whatnot. So we can kind of look at that and say, okay, if these bigger ones are moving a certain way, even if the small ones aren't moving, it's not going to matter much, because the big ones are going to hold up that sector, for example.
Exactly, and we can. So we obviously you have the industry sectors like XLF and XLE and XLU and so on,
Yeah.
but so we could, we already have them on the list, but and we can take a look at these, like you say, these represent their size. But the question also is, which are the things that we really care about? Like, I'm not sure, like healthcare. Um, if it's strong or
Yeah.
not, I'm not really sure because we don't want to have too much noise either.
Of course.
Yeah. So that's really the question. Which are the important things? Like, if we say, hey, we want, and so we could look at that, but I want to base it based on the messages you send and kind of that logic. It's like, hey guys, it's not strong until this happens. So I'm more looking for that to help provide direction in trading, SPX, SPY, and ES.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. So I was thinking about that today too, and I'm like, I think this is the first time in maybe 2-3 weeks that we've talked about Dixie, for example, just because it wasn't really relevant until today's trading. All of a sudden, you see the correlations very strong, but 3 days from now, it may not matter. So it's kind of becomes that, okay, what do you value more? I mean, IWM right now to me is a very good guide of what the market wants to do. But again, doesn't, you can have a IWM that's negative on the day while, SPY and the Q move. It's just, to me, you won't have a trend. You'll have a chop. You can make money, obviously. So, and we kind of had a script. I haven't paid attention enough lately, but I think you used to have it where it would come up and say, let's say the SPY, Qs, DIA, and IWM are all bullish.
Yes, we still have that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know it comes up, and it's just because I looked at the colors, I kind of don't read that part because I just do it myself. I don't wait for the alert. But that to me is honestly somewhat good enough. I don't know if the scoring system, because you would have to assign points on what's valuable and what's not. So it's a little difficult to do. Like you have to basically, okay, do you score the Mancini level better than a cloud, or the cloud better than the Mancini? Well, at how close of a range can it be in where you can say, okay, I'm going to take the call, but let's say the cloud, the 48 is bullish all of a sudden, but the Mancini is 1 point away. You can't say, well, I'm going to take that trade because there's a likelihood you might get a rejection off the Mancini level. So it becomes kind of like this mathematical equation, which I don't know how you would value one over the other. I mean, yeah, you could say, well, Apple, Microsoft are more valuable to me than what AMD does. But I don't know. That's the hard part that I've been thinking about. Okay, how do you value one over the other? And I can't come up with a solution that I can say, oh, well, consistently we see this. I mean, Mancini's been probably the best, but at the same time, you have to be cautious with going against the trend, or, if it's close enough, it will get a rejection. So that's the part that I can't come up with valuation to say, oh, this is better or that's better. So it's always, for me, it's just like, okay, what am I seeing in front of me? And I just don't know how you translate that to let's say a bot or an alert system.
I understand what you're saying, and this is not supposed to give you all the answers because there's no
Mm.
such thing. Otherwise, we would
Yeah,
all
of course,
be
of course.
retired. But so what I'm looking at is like you know let's look at DXY for example. Like you say, now it's
Mm.
important, tomorrow it's not, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but if we know it's important when it starts pushing, okay, or if it really breaks down, and
Anytime it has a drastic move, like today we had a drastic move in the morning, and I think that's what kind of triggered me to pay a little more attention to it. Otherwise, it's been kind of sideways, slowly up, slowly down. It hasn't really had a significant move, and so that kind of caught my attention in the morning, and that's why I started talking about that today.
that's right. Yep. Yeah. So what I'm, and a lot of this is experimentation because we might try it and it may
Mm-hmm.
not,
Yeah.
give us good results, and then we'll take it out or we'll adjust it. I mean, I've done that, many times, obviously,
Okay.
and but so for example, what? So if we say DXY, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what bucket does it represent, and what's the other things that should be in the bucket with it? So if they move together,
Sure.
there's a signal. So maybe I should rephrase the question that way. And then the way I do the calculations for now is I look at I count the number of bars. So, because those bars represent, how green the background is. And we already have logic for that. And it works pretty well. So I count the number of bars, I count, the blue and yellow triangles. I score
Mm.
them, based on the 1 minute, 2 minute, the agreement. So I use, a few things there to come up with a score, and we can tune that over time and see, what works better than not. But I think so. The first question is like, if we take DXY, what else should
Sure.
be in the bucket with it? It's that if it
So yeah,
has
so
a
the
move,
DXY and the TNX, they're kind of
that's right. So I have
relevant to one another.
DXY,
Yeah.
TNA, and then TLT is the third one I have in
Yeah.
there.
And maybe US oil, that's kind of, it's one of those things again that if it has a drastic move, it becomes a concern. If it's just kind of chopping around in a range, no one cares.
That's right.
But
We'll
those
put
are
that in
kind
a
of,
separate bucket because it doesn't have to
yeah,
move the same as DXY, for example.
yeah, yeah. So you could do that. And then as far as obviously with the NASDAQ, you've got the XLK, tech stuff. Everything tech is NASDAQ, obviously.
That's right.
Yeah, so and then so you can have, let's say, if you want to go from the stock level, Apple, Microsoft, obviously, pretty much the stuff we have on there.
That's right. Yeah. So Mega. So the Mega group is combining, these eight. Then I have,
Yeah.
banking, which is JPM, and I'll send you the list of what I have right now, and then we can tune
Okay.
it. But I just wanted to explain, what it is. So the first one
Yeah.
is like, because I think there's value for like the DXY bucket, and I call them bonds right now. I'm not sure if that's a
Yeah.
good name or not. And then I have Mega, which is the big companies, and then I have banking, and then so if we could brainstorm a little bit about after this, I'll send you the details. But if we
Sure.
can brainstorm on um, basically, each one
Yeah.
of the buckets, what's in them, and then we could try the formulas and we could tune them. But because basically, let's say, we're just trading and suddenly, DXY spikes, it would be nice if, the strength meter suddenly lights up and we're like, okay, something just happened. I don't know what,
Yeah.
but let's go and look. And obviously, you have the experience to look at this list and see it for yourself. But if you're not there, it would be good if someone else can say, hey, banking or bonds just lit up. So,
Yeah.
let's take a look at it. And maybe we can even have notifications at some point as well.
Yeah, so yeah, like the banking, you can, obviously, like we talked about some of the major stocks, but also like the KRE, putting that ETF in there. And then
Yep.
you can also put the KRE with the IWM or the RTY, um, just because I think it's what 20 or 25% of the IWM KRE. So there's definitely some that are, heavily correlated with one another. So yeah, we can look at, you know, which ones kind of impact which part of it and what the correlations are. And like semis would be with the Nasdaq and the XLK.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely we can do that, and hopefully, again, we have to test that out, see how it comes through. But we can definitely kind of look at what you have in the buckets and kind of move things around and figure out what's working, what's not.
Yeah. Excellent. No, I appreciate it. Yeah. So I will create a separate channel, and then I'll post the list that I'm currently using, and then we can tune it. And then if the formulas doesn't work, we can adjust that, and then get a better idea of how it's working. And if it doesn't work, we can get rid of it or try something else.
Yeah, I mean, we keep trying things, so there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing's perfect. We know that, but a lot of the stuff that you've created has obviously shown its worth and it's working. So we just have to go through it, and hopefully we catch something that it just gives us a little bit of an extra edge. That's all it is. It's not going to
Exactly.
trade for us. It's not going to tell us. It's just it helps when you're away from the computer, or even if your attention is someplace else, and you get that little ding. Just turn your eyes to it and say, okay, what's going on? Definitely helps.
Yes, exactly. And that's what it's about. It's just more eyeballs on the problem, and that way, if something suddenly happens, we'll be on top of it before anyone else. And it's really about seeing it first and being able to interpret it and respond to it. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing, I don't know if it's possible, but not maybe a little different from this, but just having a system that kind of reads how close it is to Mancini level or how close it is to a cloud. Is there a way to set something up that says approaching, or
Yes, that
it's kind of like you don't want it to be after the fact. Just it's kind of like, okay, let's say crossed over to Mancini level, for example, and then now you're getting to it to look at it versus you're ahead of the possible trade coming up. Is there anything
exactly.
like that can be created?
Yes, actually, it's the next thing that I'll be working on. I just I broke the bots a little bit yesterday. They were not as good today as yesterday, but so I'm fixing that, and
Yeah.
then I'll be working on that. And basically, already spoke to Vic about it, but he's posting the Mancini levels, and then
Yeah.
what we'll be doing is, instead of posting it there, you'll put it into M2, and then
Mhm.
it will create that string for you by combining prior levels as well. And maybe
Nice.
we'll have probably add a chop zone as well, for the Mancini levels, so that we know when not to trade. And then I will also track all of the levels, so that would be the pre-market levels, yesterday levels, today's highs and lows, the 48, the VWAP. So I'll track all of those
Yeah.
levels, and then in M2, I'm going to give you basically a vertical panel on the left, and it will
Mhm.
show you the, the current price, and then it will be a ladder where it will show you what's going up, what's next. So, above it is the VWAP, and this and
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
plus plus the distance. And so you'll be able to see on a ladder going up what's next, and going down what's next. And then the next thing it will do is it will also do trade plan announcement. So basically, when you're approaching a Mancini level or a 48 or a VWAP, it will say, hey, here's a trade plan for possible rejection at this upcoming level, so that you can be ready to play a rejection, and also obviously some other things, and we'll play with it. But yes, that is
Yeah.
definitely the next thing on the list, and I think it's going to make a big difference because I mean today, I had some good trades just purely based on the Mancini levels.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, his levels are amazing, absolutely amazing. I try to figure out what he looks at. I still can't figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously he's got a lot of experience, but I mean, he goes back in time, and he looks at where the interactions were at those
Yeah.
levels, and that's what I love about. I mean, so he does the work, we get the benefit, but you should really consider signing up for his service. It's
Okay.
$25 a month. I pay for it, and he actually spends. Let me just see if I can go. I have to be in Safari, I think. Let's see. So if you go to, so it's on Substack. Well, if you go to his Twitter handle, you'll see that he lists the link to it where you could sign up.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna see if I can. The login on Substack is a little weird the way they do it because there's no password. When you go there, you give them your email address, and then they send you a confirmation. But so let me just log.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. But okay. So this was today's plan, and it talks in detail. Okay, so it says paid subscribers. So let me just sign in. But he was saying that we are going. He's not playing counter trend. The trend is still up, but he thought that today might be a little bit sideways. So let me just quickly go and get my. So I just want to show you, but it's totally worth it because his levels work so good. I really recommend that everyone signs up for his. It's $25 a month. I mean,
Yeah.
you totally make that money back in a heartbeat. That's really good. Let me just see if I can. Give me a second. Sorry, I think. Was there some other recommendations you had while I'm just logging in here?
Oh, the only thing I was thinking is maybe having it where if someone does recommend a trade, that it pops up in Discord saying there's a trade recommendation or something.
Okay.
Because I think it does get to the point where it's looking at so many different screens between the M2, the Discord, the charts, and everything, that maybe just an alert, hey, there's a trade in, or someone's watching, or whatever it is. It could just be, just a warning to look at a trade, or it could just light up in the channel that says, hey, there's a trade or possible trade. So just something that makes people go and look at the M2 and just see what the trade input it was. I don't think it needs to be descriptive of what the trade is. It's just a warning that someone has a trade possibly to watch or plan or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can definitely do that. Now on M2, if you can also, so if you and I'll go there in a second. Let me just for now blah blah blah. Okay, so are you gonna show me his whole message? Because I'm already paying. I don't want to pay on Chrome as well. Let's see, Mancini. Oh wait, that's just bizarre. So, oh, maybe I used a different email address. But anyway, I'll figure it out later. I don't want to waste your time. But basically, if you sign up, so if you go to his Twitter account, click on there, and I mean he'll talk about the details. I mean, and he was, I mean, if you read it, every day, you'll have a much better strategy the following day. And he's been pretty accurate in terms of okay, I'm expecting a lot of chop here today, the next day, so don't even bother.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that helps a lot just to set your expectation. Now I mean, I based on what he said and based on the Fed's negative comments yesterday, I was pretty convinced that we were going to see some red today. So when the market opened
Hmm.
up and we rejected the VWAP and the 48, it gave me confidence to get into those puts,
Yeah.
right away. So again, that's something that helps a lot in my opinion.
Yeah. No, that definitely. Again, he's great at what he does. So just gotta spend a little more time figuring out how he figures it out. But I'll definitely sign up with him today and just see what's up and what he's talking about and kind of his methodology of things.
Yeah, and he explains, how to use it. But I'm not sure that we have to be able to recreate what he does because we can just get it directly from him. What's important is how to use the information he provides and understanding it and interpreting it. I think
Yeah.
that's where we need to spend more time on. And I'm hoping to l- implement a lot of that in the code as well, so that again, when he says this is choppy range, where it will tell you, hey, stay away.
Yeah. 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 For sure.
Yeah. So if you go to M2, so I will add notification Discord just to let people know there's something there. Um, and I'm not going to include the bots, until we all think they work much better, because in the beginning there's going to be a little bit of noise until they're better. But so if you look at M2, you could say when there's incoming notifications to open it up automatically. So if I uncheck bots, I won't get that. If I by default all these things are checked. So if you go
Yeah.
in and you do a trade plan, especially if audio alerts are on, so if you do that and someone comes up with an idea, it's gonna make a sound. Now because it's my own, it's not gonna make a sound for me, but it will
Yeah.
open up automatically based on the checkbox. So if I uncheck that, so obviously I can cancel it and it goes away. So that's important. If the plan changes, then get rid of it so that the list is not too
Yeah.
crowded. But if it's unchecked and I say watched, then okay, so it should open up for me. I'll take a look at that. But oh no, it's because it's my own. But for you guys, obviously, yeah, for my own actions, it will always open up because I want to be able to manage it. But for you guys, if you have the watch box unchecked and I create a new watch entry, it won't open up. If you have it checked, it
Yeah.
will automatically open. If you have audio alerts on, it will play a sound. And also, if audio alerts are on and we make any kind of a change, I update the reason or when to cut, or someone votes for it, or someone else provides a comment, you'll get a beep as well. So you'll be notified of changes so that you don't miss that while you're in a trade.
What What would you say is the difference between the watch and the plan? Because it feels like to me it's the same thing.
Well, so a plan. I mean, so we can get rid of plan. Okay, so just want to make that clear. But so my thinking was, is like if you're watching for something, this is like tornado watch. I'm sitting there actively, and I'm like, okay, when this thing happens, I'm gonna do this. Where a
Yeah.
plan is like, if we, you know, later today, if we reject the Mancini levels or we get there, then it would be a good trade to go long or short. So plan is further into the future, or that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Where um, watch
Okay.
so watch is more imminent. I'm looking for it right now,
Gotcha.
and if it doesn't
Gotcha.
work, I'm gonna cancel it. Where a plan, it's like later today, and then an idea is basically you're asking for feedback. I have this idea. please let me know what you think. Yay or nay.
Yeah,
I want to take this trade, but I'm not so sure.
got it. Okay, cool.
And then obviously, if you watch something later, you get into a trade, or if you just wanna like, I'm in already, then you use the taken button.
Got it.
Good. Any other questions?
Not for me, not at the moment. I think once we kind of get that bucket stuff going, I think there will be more questions.
Okay, sounds good. Vic, anything from you?
No, I love hearing what I'm hearing. It's all adding to it.
Yeah, and I mean, so I have lots of plans. Yeah, I mentioned it before. I mean, at some point, once this is working, and so you have a trade notification if someone else wants to take it. At some point, I'm not sure how long into the future it is, but my hope is to have it, integrated with, APIs so that on some brokers you could say, hey, I'm getting in, and then it takes a trade through your API, and we'll probably, I mean, we'll limit it for a long time to just paper accounts, because obviously that's much more dangerous. But my goal is one day to be able to um, take simple trades where it's going to manage your stop loss, so that when you say, if you say, hey, take profit here, it's gonna automatically lock in some profits, and it's, if you keep runners, it's gonna automatically move up your stop loss on the runners. And there will be certain rules that, basically a recipe that you can select from. But so you're like, okay, I'm taking profits, it moves up the stop loss in the runner, so I don't have to think about it. And so, just something, these actions that we take, that takes, multiple steps. uh I think that's very important. And when I sometimes lose money, well, obviously it's when I do my own thing and I don't use the indicator. But sometimes, I'm not fast enough on moving my stop losses, and then you have a huge spike in the opposite direction, and then you really get burned. So if there's something that can do a much better job at managing the stop losses based on some kind of a recipe, I know it's going to help me a lot. And then if it works for me without any problems, then I'll make it available to other people to do it
It's
through
right.
paper
Depending
account.
on your broker, I think when you start a trade, you can actually set the stop loss at the exact same time you take the trade.
Yes, no, I use Thinkorswim, and so you can do these bracket orders, but you constantly, every time you do a bracket order, you have to do it again each time. So so I do that, but then when it's very painful, and I wish it was easier, because you have to select a bracket every time. But when I'm locking in some profits, I automatically, like, if I lock in my profits at 10%, I want my runner stop to go up to minus 10%. So I have a runner with lots of space. If it's a trend day, so I want to give it a lot of space. I cannot lose money. So those are the kinds of things that I'm talking about, that they cannot help me with. But I want to lock in profits, and then the runners should automatically, the stop loss should be moved up, so that I can give it room, and I cannot go red on a green trade.
Okay.
I think about
Yeah. So those are some things, I'll be working on. But yeah, anyways, I have a lot of plans, and I appreciate everyone's ideas and contributions, because I think what we have right now works really well. Obviously, on chop days, it's not as effective, but there were some decent trades today. I mean, if you, like, I got this initial drop here at the open, and then I got calls here on this Mancini level, the bounce all the way to the VWAP. So that was pretty much my trades for today. But I mean, if you look at this, we're below the 48, so we're bearish. Look at this, we're rejecting the VWAP. Boom. I mean, there's another good trade. Here's a counter trend. Okay, so basically, on a day like this, you should be ignoring all of the yellow triangles. Ignore, play this. And I mean, if you wait for the alpha zone to be visible with the outline, you could do much better, so you could go in there. Obviously, if you didn't have stops, you would have lost. But I find that if I can get in at the beginning of the alpha level where it just starts off, like if you look at this, it just starts off there. That's a good entry right there. If I can get close to it, this is usually good entry. At the beginning of it, ignore. There's here it starts, and so you could have made money if you get close. You have to get in close to the alpha zone, otherwise you should not be getting in. You should be waiting, and if the alpha zone outline disappears, then you shouldn't be getting in. But so here's another up play, but again, the little counter trend. You have the upper band that's green. I mean, it wasn't a great day for trading, but there were definitely some trades.
You.
What's Well, good. I appreciate your time. I'll let you guys go. I'm gonna upload the recording, and then I'm gonna create a channel for those buckets so we can tune in a little bit.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.